Hey, if you're still struggling with some chord changes, here's a quick couple of tips for you to help you get past that hurdle. And don't worry, there's nothing to sell here. No sign up, no free steak knives if you do anything like that. Just some quick 5-minute tips to help you get your playing sorted. So in this video today, we're going to look at a couple of chords, and also I do have a cheat sheet which you can download. There's a link below and it's got the tips on there and a couple of chord examples. So just very quickly, if you struggle, say for example you're trying to play and you're not changing cleanly and these chords kind of sound a bit like fumbled, or you miss notes or whatever, here's some quick tips for you to get that sort of into a bit more of a drill so that it becomes like a second nature kind of thing without having to think about it. Now, most chords have certain anchor notes in them which are in two chords. So for example, when you play E minor and G, those two chords are often found in songs together, as you probably know. And you can change the chord but leave one finger in position. So for example, in this case, it's my first finger there on that note, and I go from the E minor. When I go to the G, I literally just move that finger up there. Now, you don't even have to play the full chords actually, because when you do a partial chord, there's a sort of a big misconception with guitar compared to some other instruments like piano, for example, where you have to play all of the notes perfectly through, and sometimes you don't even need those notes. So you could just go E minor to G there, and that still is perfectly acceptable. Okay, so that's one example. Now, to get up to speed with that, you literally just do what I'm doing there. And a lot of these chords, again, as you probably know, rely on muscle memory and just kind of picturing the chord shape. So if you do something really basic like this, that will probably help you just get these fingers trained. And then gradually, like tip 2, once you've done that, is to just get them up to speed a bit so you can work up to a tempo. So if you just counted 4, 2, 3, 4, and then change to the G, 1, 2, 3, 4. That simple idea then will help you build up some rhythm so that you've got a bit more of a sort of a context to it. It doesn't have to be fast. I'm not even playing these fingers on the rest of the chord. I'm not trying to do a perfect G chord there, because those notes aren't really, important at this time. Another chord you could try might be A minor, and again we've got some common notes, some anchor notes with the shape in this case, not so much the note. That note's the same, but what you could do to go between them, if you wanted to do that, you could pivot around there. And again, you'll find this is a common chord progression. You probably recognize it from lots of songs. Okay, so I'm literally just keeping that note on there. Now, there's quite a few chords that you can do that with in your experience if you've tried going from one chord set to another. That idea there can help you move through a chord sequence. So an A minor to an E minor keeps that note common there. And then if you went from an E minor to a G, that now is the pivot note or the common note. And if you went from a G to a D, you could then keep this note here on the third fret on the B string to a D chord. So you could effectively go okay. Now the trick is, if you're struggling with that, because a lot of the guys I teach, I see every week one-to-one, it takes them a while to build up to that kind of comfort level where they're able to change cleanly and confidently. And those few chords there, once you get into a routine with them, just go really steady and build that up. Once you sort of get into that, then once you're going from there to there, that will feel almost natural, second nature. And then you can start building that up. So the trick is to find the common note for you, whichever chord you're trying to work on. Just practice the pivot note there and gradually work that up to tempo, so maybe to a song speed. And then when you're ready for that and you feel a bit more confident, and those are kind of, like I said, second nature, what you can do is you go from there then to the next chord and just gradually build them up, so you've got maybe 3 or 4 chords in the chord progression or whatever song that you're trying to follow. So there's a link below which has got a link to this which you can download. It's all free. There's also a link on the bottom of that to the next video, because the way I upload them, I don't know, you know, where Facebook puts stuff. So it's easy just to put a link on there, and then you can find it. And there's a follow-on one then, which is to do with actually just kind of getting into a pattern with that and making them sound really, really good in a song context. Okay. I hope you enjoyed this quick video. Follow me for more stuff like that, and check out the website if you like. Anyway, for now, all the best, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.